Cell. Cells are the structural and functional units of the body of all living organisms. They are also known as the units of life. Generally, we cannot see a cell with the naked eye, but some cells, such as a hen's egg, are big enough to be seen by the unaided eye. A microscope is an instrument used to see cells that are too small for the naked eye. There are many types of microscopes which use light to image the sample. Other major types of microscopes are the electron microscope and the various types of scanning probe microscopes. Discovery of cell. In 1665, Robert Hooke observed a thin slice of cork under a self-designed microscope. He observed that the cork resembled the structure of a honeycomb consisting of many little compartments. Robert Hooke called these compartments cells. Cell is a word of Latin origin which means a little room. In 1674, Leeuwenhoek, with the improved microscope, observed the free-living cells in pond water for the first time. In 1831, Robert Brown discovered the nucleus in the cell. Cell theory was proposed by two biologists, Sheldon and Schwann, which states that all living things are made up of cells and the cell is the basic unit of life. The cell theory was further expanded by Virchow in 1855, suggesting that all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Cell number. The number of cells is different in different organisms. The organisms that are made up of single cell are called unicellular organisms. For example, amoeba, paramecium, bacteria, etc. All the necessary body functions such as respiration, digestion, excretion, reproduction, etc. are performed by the single cell. Organisms that are made up of more than one cell are called multicellular organisms, for example, plants and animals. In multicellular organisms, we see division of labor, that is, cells of similar structures are organized into tissues, then organs, and finally organ systems to perform a particular body function. Cell shape. The shape of the cell varies from organism to organism. It also varies within an organism. For example, amoeba has changing shape while bacteria may be rod-like, spiral or comma-shaped, etc. In human beings, cells may be irregular shaped, oval, columnar, spindle-shaped, long and branched, and so on. Cell size. The size of the cell also varies from organism to organism. Some are minute, while some are visible to the naked eye. The smallest cells are of mycoplasma, a type of bacteria. Its diameter is 0.0001 millimeter. The largest animal cell is an ostrich egg, which measures 170 millimeters. In plants, the largest cell is of green alga, acetabularia, which can measure up to 10 centimeters. Nerve cell is the longest cell in the human body. It can measure about 1 meter. There is no relation between the size of the cell and size of the body of the organisms. For example, the liver cells or kidney cells are of almost the same size in a mouse, horse, or bull. Structure of cell. All cells have some common parts. These are plasma membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. Let us learn about these in detail. Plasma membrane. Plasma membrane or cell membrane is the outermost covering of the cell that protects the cell, gives it a definite shape, and separates it from the external environment. It is a thin, elastic, and selectively permeable membrane which regulates the passage of the materials in and out of the cell. The movement of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide across the plasma membrane takes place by the process of diffusion. Diffusion is the spontaneous movement of a substance from a region of high concentration to a region of its low concentration. Similarly, water also moves through the plasma membrane by the process of diffusion. The movement of water molecules from a region of high water concentration to a region of low water concentration through a selectively permeable membrane is called osmosis. The movement of water across the membrane is different depending upon the concentration of the medium surrounding the cell. Let us understand how. If the medium surrounding the cell has exactly the same water concentration as the cell, there will be no net movement of water across the plasma membrane. Such a solution is called isotonic solution. If the medium is very dilute, that is, it has a higher water concentration than the cell will gain water by osmosis. Such a solution is called hypertonic solution. Similarly, if the medium is very concentrated, that is, it has a lower water concentration than the cell will lose water by osmosis. Such a solution is called hypertonic solution. In addition to plasma membrane, plant cells have an additional thick outer layer called cell wall. The cell wall is mainly composed of cellulose and lies outside the plasma membrane. It provides rigidity to the cell. Nucleus. Nucleus is the most important part of the cell, which controls all the activities of the cell and regulates its growth. It is surrounded by a double-layered covering called nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane has pores which allow the transfer of substances. A small round-shaped structure called nucleolus is also present within the nucleus. The nucleus contains the genetic material of the cell, which is present in the form of DNA molecules. Functional segments of DNA are called genes. When the cell is not dividing, the DNA is present as part of chromatin materials which are visible as entangled mass of thread-like structures. At the time of cell division, the chromatin material gets organized into rod-shaped structures called chromosomes. In some organisms, called as prokaryotes, the nuclear region is poorly defined due to the absence of nuclear membrane. Such an undefined nuclear region containing only nucleic acid is called nucleoid. Organisms having cells with a nuclear membrane are called eukaryotes. Cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a thick jelly-like substance present between the cell membrane and the nucleus. It contains different cell organelles. In prokaryotes, just like the nuclear membrane, membrane-bound cell organelles are also absent, while in eukaryotes, membrane-bound cell organelles are present. Well, we have learnt about the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic cells. Let us tabulate the differences between the two.